Welcome to the Lotco Business Podcast, a show all about helping you as a retailer, brand or creative understand the actual business side of running your business. I offer straightforward practical advice about the nitty-gritty of making money from your creative passion. We will be covering bite-sized business and marketing lessons as well as interviews with experts and trailblazers in the fashion, homewares and design industries. My name is Melissa Robbins. I'm a business coach, colour-loving, non-coffee drinking Melburnian. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome. Now, before we get into this episode, I just wanted to invite you to a special training that I have coming up on Thursday, the 21st of March. What it is all about is how to build $1 million product business. Now, it doesn't matter if you are just starting out or you're currently at $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month, or you're close to $100,000 a month. What we're going to be doing is covering what all the foundations are that you need to have in place to make sure that you can build a $1 million product business. What are the ways that other businesses are set up to become that $1 million business? What is the framework required? What are all the things you need to have in place? What are the different sales channels that you can use? How can you do it without stress and overwhelm and without needing to have a huge team or working 24/7 as well? So what I want to do is talk about how we can generate consistent sales in your business that lead to that $1 million product business. So I'm super excited to share that with you. All you need to do is to register is go to thelotco.com/training and you can register and save your seat there. I cannot wait to share everything with you and I look forward to seeing you at the training. All right, let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Melissa Robbins. I have a guest with me today, Kate Pearson from Bella and Lace, who we were just having a little chat prior and that we just realised we'd met 12 years ago when Kate first started Bella and Lace. And super excited to have her on the podcast and chatting all about her brand. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks, Mel. It's lovely to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Bella and Lace?
Yeah, look, as you said, we started, 12 years ago. I started the brand just after I had my twin girls who have just turned 14, which blows my mind. And I've always been in the industry. So after I had the girls, I found this passion for kids' clothing and decided I'd like to get amongst it.
Yeah. It's a common thread, right? I think that's how I was in children's wear as well after having kids. And it's one of those things you're like, how can I use my skill set to do something that you're passionate about and love?
Well, and it's just, I always was in ladies' fashion, and so that's where you kind of just spent your time and you only had you to worry about. And then when you've got these other little humans, you're like, oh, this is so cool. I'd love to get in this.
Yeah. What else can I create for them, I guess, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so when you first started, going right back, where we'll start early days and then sort of, talk about your journey and everything and share a little bit about, those ups and downs I'm sure that you've had in having a brand for that length of time. So when you first started, how did you actually get started? What was your first foray into it? What did you get to do to get going?
Well, I used to make little bits for the girls, and then I thought, no, I really want to dive deep into this. So I put together a little collection. I got on a plane and went to Indonesia and went looking for a factory, and we met a few there, and the one that we did end up producing with, we still have today. So we've got a really great relationship with them. We now manufacture it still in Bali, and we do manufacture in India as well. So we split it up just depending on skill set.
Yep, and what you've got, what's the range? Because you do have we'll get into that, but, a range between knitwear and, obviously knits and jerseys and all that sort of stuff too. Yeah. Okay, so, first getting started, obviously you had a bit of a skill behind you and that you'd done designing, you'd been in the industry. So, I love that you just went over there and let's go and explore and figure out, who we can touch base with.
Yeah, and when you're starting, especially when you've had your babies and you're not in the industry, working anymore. So it was just definitely a small budget I had to work with. I think I had $10,000 to launch the brand. And we did a really small show, like we were just talking about before, where I met you at the fair that was run by Virginie from Mama Papa. And I met some really great stalls there. So it was a great launch into the industry in meeting more those boutique kind of customers.
Yeah, back in the day, like obviously I had a children's wear store, which is obviously where we met. The fact that I carried your range was quite different to what I had currently in store. So it was a great combo to introduce new brands into the store, which I think at times a few people were like, oh, I don't want to sell to a store that's already got their own brand, because then it's, I don't know, people think about that they're going to copy them or something like that. It's like, no, you're getting it because it's different. That's the whole point, that it's, giving my customer a huge mix of products, not just my product.
Yeah, definitely. And I think over time, realizing, you start this process and you think, oh, I just love doing this and I like this and whatever you put together. And sometimes you don't. For me, I didn't actually think about, does this customer really need this or want this? Yeah. It was just something that I really loved. And it was nice as time went on that we got feedback from the stores saying, oh, there was definitely this gap in the market, Kate, that you've filled, where it's, your attention to detail without being too over the top, and it's wearable and long lasting, and which is really great feedback.
So that's where, you don't last 12 years either with a brand if it doesn't have that attention to detail or quality or repeat customer. You've got to have a repeat customer, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And you have gone through those iterations too, I guess, of having, and I'm not sure even where you're at right this minute, but you've started out with just babies / young kids, and then you obviously got, as your size goes up or your kids get older and the demand comes, you get bigger and bigger sizes, and then you go to tween, and then you go to adults. And tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, definitely. So when we first started, the collection went to six years, and we've expanded that. We went up to 12, and the last couple of years we did do the 14 to 16 age bracket, but we have pulled it back the last 12 months to age 12. We just found your sell-through wasn't as great in those age brackets, and just their taste changes, and so definitely that was a bit of a learning curve, going, okay, we don't need to stretch that far. As much as some people say, oh, we'd love it if you went to that, we also have to think, how does it sell through for us and for our factories, because grading from a 0 to a 16 is very difficult. Can be difficult. And don't always realise. It's like with women's fashion, you can grade from an 8 to a 16, but beyond that you have to really start rethinking about your pattern grading above that.
And it's not proportionally, getting a longer sleeve and a longer shoulder or body. It's all changing, Exactly. And that happened to us as well with the children's wear, in terms of, people wanted us to keep going and going and going, and we did the tween. But, as you say, the customer changes and they don't necessarily want a kids brand that they want to wear. So it just, as you say, and you really want to make sure that you're not putting the price of your accounting for the, making of a 16. That's really going to change the pricing of those smaller sizes too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're ranging it. So I'm happy with that.
That's good. And do you still do some of your Kate Pearson range?
That did get put on hold for a bit. I just had too much on my plate, Mel. It was just too hard to juggle. But this year, I feel like it's just lots of changes are happening. So definitely the ladies we will do more of, because when we did it did well. So definitely reach out into that area again this year. And even for Bella and Lace, we've got lots of changes that we're thinking of and planning of. So it's really exciting.
That is exciting. And I guess that's the thing, like when you have a brand, you've got to keep moving, you've got to keep evolving, you've got to keep testing different things and see if they work. And maybe they don't, as you just said, like you've dropped some things and added some things, but you really have to keep evolving, don't you?
Absolutely, you do. And just even looking back, how it's changed so dramatically, even in the the
Mm,
last 12 years of how we sold to wholesale and direct
yes.
to customer. It's just changed so much.
Yes. And it's where some people would be like, "Oh, it's too hard, I'm not gonna go that way or whatever." But it's just a matter of knowing that it's always gonna change. I think that's a thing. Like even if we talked about Instagram, like how different is that from my son's 16, it's like I remember it started when he was, in 2008.
Yes,
And it's like so different. Like when we had a retail store, I would be posting 3 times a day because that's what you had to do and that's how you had to grow. And, people always, I don't know, complain about the different ways that it is, but it's always going to change. You just got to keep up, keep moving, not get stuck in your ways.
yeah, you've
Yeah.
got to roll with it.
You got to
You
roll with
have
it.
to.
The book, actually, if everyone gets stuck on that, is the Who Moved My Cheese. Have you read that?
No, but I'm going to jot that down.
Oh, it's such a good book. Who Moved My Cheese? I've got it somewhere. I should see who's the author is. I've forgotten now. Oh, Spencer, maybe someone. Anyway, Who Moved My Cheese? It's a tiny little book, but it's about not getting stuck in your ways, not doing the same things. Just because your cheese was there before doesn't mean it's going to stay there. You've got to keep figuring out where the cheese is going.
Yes.
Essentially, that's the gist of the book. But it's so good. And it's about adapting and moving with the times and moving with what's, going on around you. Yeah, so
Good
check
on
that
you.
out. We've worked together, obviously, as a buyer. I bought from your brand for many, many years, and then we've had, been known each other at trade shows for many, many years. And then we've worked together as my business coaching and stuff too. And you've been in my mastermind, lots of different things, like to really, and that's it. I guess you just going, what else can I do? What else can I change? What else can I tweak? So you're always learning, right? And that's another thing of the evolving, but also learning about how you can get better as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially now, it's just so accessible to be able to
Hmm.
delve into different areas, like your knowledge of wholesale and being able to be in those kind of groups and chat with other
Hmm.
people who are on different sides of it, but you all take a bit from everybody to go, oh, do you know what? I'm going to give that a crack. I'm going to give that a go and see how it works. So it's definitely a different environment to like when we met 12 years ago, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And in your business now, because of that change, I think it used to be very heavy wholesale. And so then you've probably changed a little bit more the other way. So what does it look like now for you, your business, like that balance or split?
Yeah, it has changed, but wholesale is still the main
Hmm.
money income for us,
Yep.
than our online. Our online has always trickled, and it would be good to change that. And
Hmm.
definitely the wholesale environment has changed as well.
Yep.
Shops are coming and going. Shops that have been there for a really long time have maybe sold owners. And so there's
Hmm.
definitely lots of change happening in the industry. But at the moment, wholesale is still our main income.
And that sort of effect impacts, I guess, as well, a little bit how you design your range and how you drop collections and stuff too, right? Because you are not for retail focusing on, say, a new collection every week coming out, but you're going, here's our bigger collections a couple of times a year.
Yeah, yes. And we're not, where collections are put through as a story. So
Hmm.
you'll have, different styles in the same print. So it's not as item driven as other
Mm.
brands. And so they normally, a store will buy more of a capsule, thinking of how it's going to look in store or online, that it all looks cohesive.
And when you when you launch, when you release, you've done a few trade shows, like what do you do to sell wholesale? What's your, how do you go
Yeah,
about selling
so
wholesale?
in the past we always did trade shows, which I loved.
Yep.
I really
Yep.
loved meeting the stores and catching up. I always have a really great relationship with the stores. So it has changed, and since COVID, obviously we didn't do them through that time, and our selling was through Brand Boom, which a lot of the industry uses. And we have gone back and done Life in Style in Melbourne once everything opened up, and that was okay. It's definitely changed for us. So we are now handing our wholesale over to an agency to start selling for us, just so we can get in front of more people.
And I think that's where agents, so obviously people ask, the pros and cons, and they look at the fees that an agent charges and think, how am I going to pay for that? But it really is that sales expense, because it shouldn't be on your cost of goods. It should be looked at as a total sales, because you've got to try and get your sales from somewhere. So you're paying for your sales in the expenses that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll reach out to stores, but when an agent is showing and they've got other collections to show as well, it entices the store to go, oh yeah, we'll have a look at this, so it's
moves the barriers a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is rolling out for us this year, so we've just handed all our samples over.
Into one state, or how does that work? They cover everywhere.
Yeah, so they look after the Australia and New Zealand.
Yep, amazing. Okay, that's great.
It's exciting.
That is exciting. It's good. When you do your sampling, because I know we've worked through this about as well, like you don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time. Like you've got 12 years of collections. Every season should be a brand new shape, a brand new design. Like you've got such amazing background catalogue of styles, and I think we've spoken about having a core range too, because lots of your pieces are really special pieces, aren't they, as well as sort of everyday pieces. How would you describe your range of items?
Yeah, look, and I can't help myself. I don't go through the I'm like, oh no, this would be beautiful, let's do this. So there is certain styles that we always do every season, which is a ballerina style, which we've done, I think, from our first collection. So we roll that out every season in whatever prints and embroideries we might have in that collection. So that's definitely a keepsake that people do like to keep and pass on, and some people collect them, and which is lovely, that nostalgic tone. So I do tend to come up with new styles every season.
Well, you're a designer. I mean, that's what you're doing, the part you love, right? So that's the part that you're obviously passionate about.
Yeah. And we will, if a dress does really well one season, we may roll that over and change and tweak it to the next. Yeah. But generally
and with your manufacturing, because this, if anyone's listening who's just starting out, how long does it take to get a sample right?
I'm pretty lucky, to be honest. I sketch everything by hand, give them all the details, and they make the sample. So normally the process for us is I'll work with Lizzie, who does all our graphics, and we'll come up with the prints and embroideries, placements, that type of thing, and then we'll send that off to the factory. They will do the printing for us. We'll approve the strike off, and from there I start designing the collection. And I have said to them before, would you like me to do more of a CAD drawing? And they said, no, Kate, when you draw it by hand, we can actually feel what it's meant to be like. It's got more flow to it. And so that was really interesting.
That is.
Generally, it normally takes about 2 months for us to start getting the samples through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In production, is that generally a 8 to 12 weeks turnaround?
Yeah. So normally we'll close off. Summer will be around April, and then we will deliver that in, when are we going to deliver that? September and October.
And I think that's the thing, like whenever you work with anyone who's in manufacturing or production and, you know, if you haven't been in it before, you're always like, it's always going to take longer than you think. And there's always errors or mess ups or mistakes. Like, it's a constant, right?
Always. There is always something to fix. But I think that's in any industry. You know, problem solving is something that we're dealing with all the time.
Yeah, and being able to put out those fires and manage that, and that's a big part of business. It's just a big part of being able to adjust and like, okay, what can we do about it? And I guess that's as an entrepreneur, generally, as you say, it's problem solving. And so you recently also, and you've done it a little bit before, I think, but you've recently just been at the New York trade show. Which one was it? Playtime? Is that the one you're at?
Playtime, yes.
Yeah. And how was that?
Yeah, it was great. So last year we signed an agent. Her name's Tiffany. She's based in LA, and she sold summer for us over there. And she was really excited with the response that she got, which was great.
Yeah, great.
And so we thought, let's see if she can look after all of the country. So Tiffany came across to New York to sell the collection with me, which was great. So we got on really well. Our values and what we want from the brand really align, and we got a good response from the show. But it's one of those things, like we were saying earlier, it's not instant. You have to keep turning up.
Yeah. And they have to see that that you've got your back yourself, that you're going to be there again and again, your longevity, that you've got longevity. They've got to see that you're not just a flyby, night, and that if they're going to put their, energy and time and money into a brand, they want to know that it's what it looks like year after year or
and it was the same year when I first started. Doors that would come past and look at the collection every year, and it took them about 4 years for them to actually go, do you know, I think I might write an order, Kate. It's like,
you're like, thank goodness for that. Yeah. That wasn't me. I think I bought it in the first season.
They want to know you. They want to know you're going to be around.
So, keep showing up, keep being there, persistence. And as you say, can you build relationships with agents to then they've got the relationships with the stores, which makes that entry easier as well.
Absolutely. And it was great because she knew stores that were coming through, and so it was a really good experience.
Yeah, great.
And who doesn't love me?
I mean, that's right. I mean, this is a thing too. Like when I had my brand, I think we did about 5 New York trade shows in total.
Yeah, right.
And strong memories. My sister and I had the brand together, but then our other sister would come with us, and we went with one of the other brands as well, and we'd have this, crazy apartments that we stayed in before Airbnb existed, which doesn't exist in New York anymore. But anyway, it's part of the fun of having your brand too, that you get to experience these things and go and do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah. That's so good. And with the agent, do you have to pay, because I know that's slightly different to here, so I just wanted to touch on that. Do you pay a showroom fee for the agent in the
so
whereas here in Australia you don't do that?
There's a showroom fee and then commission on what the sales are. So, which is the same here. But the showroom fee, I think, varies depending on how many people they might have in that showroom. And it is set up really quite different to here. They have like a showroom of one level will be all women's, one level will be men's, and kids, and there's rooms within that complex.
Yeah. Well, I remember at the time when we had a West Coast agent in LA, and then we had a New York agent on the East Coast too. Yes. So at one stage we had agents in both places because, people are going there regularly just to go and look, as you say, at that whole showroom of all the things that are there.
Yeah. They call it a marketplace.
And it's like a little booth, isn't it? But so it's almost like having a trade show all the time, essentially.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Everything's set up in there, and they all, it all looks beautiful, and so people can go and touch, see, feel what it all looks like.
And I haven't spoken to you about this separately, but do you have a 3PL set up there, or you're just sending straight from your orders at the moment?
Yeah, so that was interesting. So that didn't quite work out how I planned.
Yes, we didn't have a conversation before, did we, Kate, about this?
Yeah, so that didn't work out. But, yes, we did. I reached out to some 3PL, so I've got to get that all sorted out, which I've reached out to some of them, and we'll get that set up for the next drop.
Yeah, because they want to know what the landed price is and then how quickly they can get it, right? Like it's really important part of being an exporting brand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And different just legal documents you have to have with importing into there and things like that. So, that's another thing on my list to sort out.
Don't even try and do sunglasses. They need a drop ball test from China, or when we had our China, they class as a medical device, kids' sunglasses. So all these different tests that we found out later. But at least you haven't got the girls from Little Potion, who I know you're friends with as well, and know they've got a lot of testing to do for their product because of the type of product. So clothing compared is much easier.
Absolutely.
Okay, so who is in your business? Who helps you run the business? Like what sort of team do you have? What sort of, I know it's changed a lot over the time, but right now, who's helping you?
Yeah, so there's just 2 other staff members, Lizzie, who looks after the graphics and design, and we've known each other for 14 years. We met at Multiple Birth Group. So I've got twins, Lizzie's got triplets. And we both had just common interests, and Lizzie studied graphic design, and so she's always helped me along the way. She's great. She's thick-skinned because some things I'm like, no, I don't like it. So she doesn't take offence to it, which is lovely.
You need that, definitely.
And we've got Laura, who looks after the social media and marketing. So her background is marketing and advertising, and she's fantastic. So she's got two young daughters, and she's completely immersed in that fashion and advertising and marketing, and, she's been wonderful. So it's just the 3 of us at the moment. We definitely do need someone else to give us a hand.
Customer service, production, all that sort of stuff.
Mel, I'm not going to lie at times. So at the moment it's a really busy time. Winter's coming in. It's all that back-end stuff, invoicing and stock taking and doing the next collection and, selling summer and, it's a whirlwind.
But as you say, like having things like your agent, just managing sales, because often when you're doing it yourself with your sales too, because you've got all these other things going on, often it can just be like something you get to and you don't always get to it. And so then you're like, oh, I haven't got enough sales.
Absolutely. And if you're not in their face all the time, people do forget. And if they're not going to trade shows or, for whatever reason that might be, or I'm not there, we need to be able to, I feel, hand it to someone that can spend the time on it.
Yeah, so focus on sales so they know that that's their priority. And with an agent, obviously they're getting that commission. So the better they do their job, the more they're going to get paid. So it's in their interest to really focus on your brand and try and get more sales for your brand.
Absolutely. And I feel that we've got good years behind us that, we're a solid brand and we still love it. So we're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anytime
that's
soon.
Great. And so what are some things that you would suggest to others about investing in from the start? Like where should they focus if they're just getting going? What would be your suggestions there?
Do you know what? I think don't be shy of giving it a crack. I know when I started, especially when you've been in the industry, for a long time and you talk to people, they're like, oh, why do you want to do that? But I've never been like that. So I always think just give it a go. Be conservative with your spending. It's really easy to go, oh, yeah, I'll invest in money in that and that. But at the end of the day, we need to get the stock in and the sales out. So I would research your factories, and if you know anyone that has potentially used them, and if you can, go see them. I mean,
Yes.
before COVID, I'd go a couple of times a year to visit our factories. It
Yeah.
just really, it shows your commitment to them and what your expectations are. And you can go,
Yeah.
hey, no, we need to do this, this, and this, or can we do this? And finding out all their skill sets, because not all
Yeah.
factories can do everything.
Yeah.
So I would definitely spend time looking at that.
Yeah. And as you say, working with them and figuring out what, the more you've worked with them and you have that relationship with them, if there's issues or things come up, it's easier to solve and to work through because you've got a good solid relationship as well.
Yeah. Don't be shy to reach out to other brands.
Yeah.
People are really lovely, and they often people will help you or go,
Yeah.
do you know what? No, don't go. Start with this first, or go down this path. Or my friend has done this, and reach out to her. Or so definitely reach out to someone in the industry, and don't be shy of it.
And what do you believe are key areas to success in having a product business?
You have to have a big passion for it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion and a drive to do it, you're not going to do the grind. You really have to.
Yeah.
And you really have to hustle and, push your brand. And I'm shy of doing that. I really, and another thing for this year is I don't blow my own trumpet enough. Definitely this year I need to do more of that.
Yeah.
So that is
Celebrate,
something I would
your journey and
encourage
how
people
long
to
you've
do.
lasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's where you talked about, that you've got to have the passion but you've got to be resilient and know that there are going to be ups and downs and no one has a perfect smooth path of growth or trajectory of, perfect sales increases.
Absolutely.
It's going to go through, you're going to go through some stuff, right?
It's not smooth sailing. But I feel like that's what makes it exciting too, that you do have those challenges. But that, like you said, that's just how business runs. And, for us, every year we had good growth and it has plateaued out and it has changed. But that's up to us to, shake it up and go, okay, I do need to get in front of people more. I do need to. So it's definitely, you learn these things along the way.
Yeah. And I think that's where as well, you've constantly evolved that back end too, like looking at what you're selling and which things are working. And, even you're saying the, probably cash flow in the products that aren't selling through as fast, well, then you're not going to order as much or you're going to change the range because of that too. Like as a business owner, you've got to be constantly covering all the areas, I guess.
Yeah. And there's no crystal ball. So when you think, yes, this did really well last year and it's happened to us and we've gone, I'm going to, order heavy in that. And then it's like, I want that this year.
What? Yeah, of course. That's always the way. Yeah.
So to get down on that. And that's something that I've had to learn over time as well when you invest in those type of things, not to, you might lose a bit of money doing that, but, you've just got to take that on board. It's just part of it.
And I guess that's where as well, though, having different sales channels allows you to sell through in a different way too, because let's say you have something like that, then you might go, well, let's put ads into a certain thing because that's going to, maybe sell more of that. We've got more of that product now to sort of try and move. Or let's have a pop-up or a retail space warehouse sale or something like that. Like you're going to do different things because of the situations, right?
Correct. Yes, which we were just talking about this morning, that we need a sample sale, we've got samples sitting here, we need to make them.
Yeah. And that's it. Like it's constantly looking at, well, where do the sales, where are they coming in? What are we doing? Are we doing enough to have our product in front of enough people, essentially, really? Because you've got to be in front of people's eyes to be able to sell to them, right?
Yeah. And I do feel that there's a lot of noise on a lot of platforms. So it's trying to get through all that noise.
Yeah. And I guess that's where you have a customer for quite a while. So ideally you'd have them for longer. But obviously when you first started, you might have only had them. And I had this when we had the kids where we started, 0 to 4. So you only have a customer for a short period. So at least having a 0 to 12, then you've got a customer for a longer period.
Yeah, and absolutely. And there's people that we do, it is changing. So we have sort of noticed that we need to get back into more of that baby market, that we can have that customer for that 12 years, going through.
Yeah. And that's why, it's important to tap into that early stage too, so that you can have them hopefully, long term.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so would you change anything about your journey or do anything differently?
Oh, I don't think I'd change a thing. It's been a great journey. Like, just even thinking back, so we always worked from home. I had an office set up at home. We lived in a Queenslander-style house, so I had all downstairs. The girls would come to my house to do the work. We had it all set up, and it was a great setup, but we definitely grew out of it. So 2 years ago, we bought a little warehouse, and it's a great space. I love it. It's important to be in a creative space as well, because you can sort of just sit there and think, this isn't inspiring.
Yeah, well, you can get stuck in all the minute details of, the non-fun things as well.
Absolutely. So, I wouldn't change anything, Mel. We've grown and we've learnt, and we're still doing that. So I just love it.
And, obviously you've taken risks, you've done different things, like even probably taking on an agent or buying the warehouse, but again, how do you determine which things you should do? Or
you just got to try, So,
or are you thinking about opening a retail store? Actually, that's something that we talked about years ago. You considered that.
I know. I still want to do it. It's still out there. I would really like to open that space, but I just don't know what it would look like at the moment. And I think with the things that we want to change this year with Bella and Lace, in the future years, I think it would work really well.
All right, Kate. So what is something that no one knows about you, or something that you're passionate about right now?
At the moment, I have just taken up a pottery class that goes a semester.
Yes.
And I just love it. It's great.
Yeah. Creative again, yes.
Outlet. Last year I wrote down over 100 things that I want to tick off. And that just keeps going. And so one of them was that. And there could be simple things like, run whatever hill, or, just whatever it might be. But I felt like I wasn't ticking enough boxes, and you just kind of get into that everyday living of the kids and the house and work and the juggle.
There's enough on you or for you.
Yeah, I felt like, hang on, I don't know really what I'm ticking off here. And so it was on my list, and I found a course, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to tick this box. And it's great. So we've just finished learning the wheel, and I was terrible at it. I'm not going to lie.
That's okay.
But it's all right. But, I'm really enjoying it. And it is another creative outlet, which is really lovely.
And a mindful one too. So you're sort of focusing on that. You're there, like you're focusing on that, as opposed to thinking about all the other things that I'm sure most normally your brain's going 100 mile an hour.
And I have no idea. Like, I did no research. I have no idea on pottery or ceramics. I was going in blind, which is lovely. You just get to learn all these new different skills.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. And so Bella and Lace, 12 years. I think you definitely had a birthday a couple of years ago, like as in a celebration, 10 years celebration. What else is coming? Sorry?
I think I missed it.
Okay, well, maybe you need a 12th or a 13th birthday celebration, or definitely celebrate like that journey. Like, it's not easy being in business. It's not easy lasting this long over everything that's happened in this time period, like the change that you've seen, the evolvement of, the way people buy, the marketing techniques that you can use, the retail environments. They're all ups and downs and changes that you've been through.
Yeah, definitely. I probably need to take some time to do that celebration.
Yes.
We'll roll it out.
I think you've done an amazing job. Yes. Yeah, good. Sorry, one more question, but what other marketing do you focus on? So what do you do ads? Do you do social media? Obviously, it's definitely something you do. Email marketing. What do you focus on as your main marketing mix?
Last year we did employ someone, a company, to do some ads for us. I tried to do them ourselves. It was just another thing to take on.
Yeah.
And so we did roll them out. So they did the Facebook advertising, Google advertising. We do the newsletter marketing, which is always works well for us, but definitely I think worth the investment, getting someone who just has the knowledge and the skill set, the understanding to be able to roll it out. But you do have to keep in tune with what you want and what it looks like to the customer as well.
Yeah, well, it's like that creative direction, but you're not actually necessarily the one doing it all.
Yes, yeah. So that has been an investment that we have looked at, and we'll continue to roll that out this year.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Kate. I'm so glad that you said yes and that you've come to share a bit of your journey here with everyone. So really appreciate it. And I'm sure people will have more questions and be like, you didn't ask that question. I want to know more. So if anyone has any feedback afterwards, they can definitely send them through and ask some things that maybe they want to know about the brand as well and your journey.
Thank you, Mel. I'm so pleased you reached out.
All right. Thanks, Kate. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you so much for listening to the Lotco Business Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe to receive future episodes as they are released. And I'd be so grateful for a review on Apple Podcast. If you would like a copy of the show notes or any of the links mentioned today, please jump onto my website at thelotco.com.au/podcast. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.